1. Can we talk about the core identity of Vitality HubSpot? For someone hearing about Vitality HubSpot for the first time, how would you describe what it is at its core?
At its core, Vitality HubSpot is a faith-anchored, data-informed, whole-person health system. It exists to help people stop guessing about their health and start responding wisely to what their body is actually communicating to them. Instead of forcing outcomes, we focus on awareness, interpretation, and alignment. So health becomes more sustainable, not exhausting.
What are the key elements or disciplines that Vitality HubSpot integrates into its approach to health?
Vitality HubSpot integrates physiology, things like blood sugar, stress, metabolism, with nervous system regulation, nutrition, fasting rhythms, faith-based discipline, and stewardship, and modern tools like continuous glucose monitoring. But the key is integration. See, none of these stand alone. They all work together as one system, focused on daily awareness rather than the common extremes that people face in most programs.
You often say VHS isn't something people do. What do you mean by that?
It's a framework you learn to live inside of. Once people understand how their body responds to their decisions, they begin to change naturally, without constant motivation or willpower. It becomes a way of relating to food, stress, discipline, faith, and it's not a temporary plan. It's something that they learn to live with. It becomes a part of life.
What are some common assumptions people make about health programs that Vitality HubSpot intentionally is not?
What Vitality HubSpot is not is a diet. It's not a 30-day challenge. It's not a medical treatment, biohacking obsession, or hype-driven transformation. It is definitely not shame-based discipline or willpower-only living. We reject those models because they train people to fight their body instead of understanding it.
Why do you reject the idea that more force or more pressure automatically leads to better health?
Force may create short-term compliance, but it destroys long-term regulation. A pressured body goes into survival, and a body in survival resists discipline. It doesn't have clarity and consistency. Health doesn't come from overpowering the body, it comes from aligning with it.
2, let's dive into the VHS philosophy. At the philosophical level, what belief about the human body sits at the center of Vitality HubSpot?
The core belief is simple. The body is not the enemy, it's a messenger. Symptoms aren't failures, and symptoms aren't weakness. They're communication, and Vitality HubSpot exists to help people listen rather than the common extremes that people face in most programs.
What patterns do you see most people falling into when it comes to their health and their body's signals?
Most people ignore stress, override hunger and fatigue, fight symptoms, guess at nutrition, and they chase motivation. And when something doesn't work, they assume they're broken, when really their body has been trying to speak to them the entire time.
How does VHS teach people to relate differently to their body compared to traditional health approaches?
Traditional approaches ask, how do I control my body? VHS asks, what is my body responding to and why? That shift changes everything. It replaces shame with curiosity and force with wisdom.
You talk about alignment across different systems. Can you explain what those systems are and why alignment matters?
Health happens when 4 systems align. The body, which is metabolism, digestion, energy. The mind, which is stress and thought patterns. The nervous system, safety versus survival. And of course, the spirit, discipline, stewardship, and obedience, and also rest. When one is ignored, progress stalls completely.
What tends to happen when one of those systems is ignored or neglected?
The body compensates, and compensation eventually becomes dysfunction. People push harder, restrict more, even pray more, desperately. But without alignment, they stay stuck.
3, what are the core principles of VHS? Principle 1, awareness before action. Why does Vitality HubSpot place such a strong emphasis on awareness before making changes?
Because you can't change what you don't see. Awareness reveals patterns. Patterns remove shame. And once people see clearly, action becomes intelligent instead of reactive.
How do tools like CGM and body cues help remove shame from the health process?
They replace guessing with feedback. There are no good or bad numbers, only signals. When people see cause and effect, they stop blaming themselves and start learning.
Instead of asking, why can't I stick to this? What question does VHS encourage people to ask instead?
We ask, what is my body responding to right now? That single question opens the door to regulation instead of self-judgment.
Principle 2, regulation before restriction. Most health plans focus on restriction first. Why does VHS intentionally reverse that order?
Because restriction without regulation creates rebellion. Vitality HubSpot calms the nervous system and stabilizes blood sugar first. Then adjustments actually stick.
What happens to discipline when the nervous system is dysregulated?
Well, it collapses. A dysregulated body resists structure, consistency, and clarity. Regulation makes discipline possible.
Principle 3, discipline as alignment. You frame discipline very differently than most people. How does VHS define discipline?
Discipline isn't punishment, it's training. Biblically, it's stewardship. It's alignment between intention and action, not domination over the body.
How do concepts like fasting, structure, and boundaries change when discipline is viewed as alignment instead of punishment?
Fasting becomes clarity, not deprivation. Structure becomes freedom. Boundaries become protection. Discipline becomes partnership with the body, not control over it.
Principle 4, data as feedback. How should people think about data, especially CGM data, when they're using VHS?
As feedback, not judgment. Data reveals patterns. Wisdom decides the response. That balance matters.
Why is it important to remove moral judgment from numbers and metrics?
Because judgment shuts down learning. Curiosity drives change. Shame never does.
Principle 5, small signals, big change. Why does Vitality HubSpot emphasize small, consistent adjustments rather than dramatic overhauls?
Because regulated systems respond to gentleness. Radical overhauls overwhelm the nervous system, while micro adjustments compound into lasting change.
What do sustainable rhythms allow regulated systems to do that extreme plans cannot?
They allow consistency without burnout and discipline without rebellion.
4, can you tell us about the VHS toolset? You don't lead with tools, even though you use modern ones. Why is that intentional?
VHS does not lead with tools, because tools don't create wisdom. Awareness does. Tools serve awareness. Awareness serves wisdom.
Can you explain how tools like CGM, journaling, fasting rhythms, and nervous system practices fit into VHS without becoming the focus?
They act as mirrors, not masters. They reveal how the body responds so decisions can be aligned, not forced.
What role does awareness play in determining how tools are used?
Awareness determines timing, intensity, interpretation. Without awareness, tools become pressure. With awareness, they become guidance.
5, how do you explain VHS to different people? When someone asks you simply, what is Vitality HubSpot? How do you usually answer?
What is Vitality HubSpot? Vitality HubSpot is a faith-based, whole-person health platform where I teach people how to understand their body using real data so they can stop guessing and start making aligned decisions around food, fasting, rest, and discipline.
How do you respond when people ask whether VHS is a diet or a program?
No, this is not a diet or program. It's a learning framework. Once you understand your body, habits change naturally.
Who is Vitality HubSpot really designed for?
VHS is for people doing the right things, eating better, being disciplined, even praying for change, but still feeling stuck or confused about what actually works for their body.
Why would someone who isn't diabetic still benefit from continuous glucose monitoring?
Because blood sugar affects energy, cravings, focus, sleep, stress, and fat storage long before disease shows up. CGM lets us see responses early while change is still possible.
In your view, what truly makes VHS different from most health platforms or programs?
Most programs focus on control. Vitality HubSpot focuses on alignment, body, mind, nervous system, and faith, using feedback instead of pressure.
6, what is your mission? If you had to distill the mission of Vitality HubSpot into one clear statement, what would it be?
The VHS mission is to help people reconnect with their body, regulate their nervous system, and build discipline, faith-aligned health practices using awareness instead of force.
7. Tell me more about the membership experience. What do people actually gain when they become a member of Vitality HubSpot?
They gain clarity, education, and structure without shame, tools with interpretation, support for real life, not perfection.
Why do you say you're not selling results, but offering understanding and structure instead?
Because results come and go. Understanding changes how someone lives.
8. What is the VHS guarantee? You offer a very intentional guarantee. Why don't you promise specific outcomes?
Because bodies are complex. What I guarantee is clarity, education, and guidance delivered with integrity.
What can someone confidently expect to gain from VHS, even without a guaranteed result?
They'll learn how their body responds, how to interpret signals, and how to build sustainable rhythms without pressure or shame.
Who would you say Vitality HubSpot is not for?
It's not for people chasing shortcuts or hype. It's for people seeking wisdom, alignment, and stewardship.
What is your role as the founder of Vitality HubSpot? How do you personally see your role within Vitality HubSpot?
My role is an interpreter and a guide.
What distinguishes being an interpreter and guide from being a motivator or hype coach?
I translate data into wisdom and help people apply it faithfully.
What is the relevance and positioning of VHS? At its deepest level, why does Vitality HubSpot exist?
The reason why Vitality HubSpot exists is to help people stop fighting their body and start understanding it so discipline becomes sustainable, faith becomes embodied, and health becomes aligned.
Your work is both faith-based and holistic. How do those two dimensions show up intentionally in VHS?
Is VHS faith-based or holistic? Yes. Vitality HubSpot is faith-based and holistic by design. We focus on the whole person, body, mind, nervous system, and spirit. And we use modern tools to support wisdom, not replace faith or intuition.
Now for our closing question. What do you hope changes for people when they stop fighting their body and start understanding it?
I hope discipline becomes peaceful, faith becomes embodied, and health finally feels aligned rather than exhausting.